Hey there, super friends. It's Joey with Last Point Gaming. Today is Wednesday, May 19th, 2021. That sounds right. I just checked it. Anyway, so I know it's been a while. I revived the show, published 2 episodes, and then disappeared for a month again. Yep, sounds like me. Why all this traffic? What's going on? Oh well. I did record a few episodes that got trashed for some reason or another, but anyway. So the Hearthstone Battlegrounds, this is how you Hearthstone Battlegrounds episode, it's just not happening. Oh my god, what is going on here? Road work ahead, you say? Okay. So, it just doesn't work in audio-only format. I mean, I probably dumped 150 hours into that game, and I didn't even understand what the hell I was talking about. Yeah. There are some awesome tutorials on YouTube, that go over the basics, and even, the basics of strategy. And, I hate to circle to that point of, just go Google it, or YouTube it. But really, if you want to get a handle on the basics of the game, that's the way to do it. Maybe if I ever start doing video content, I'll do the, intro thing, but oh my god, this line of cars stretches for fucking ever. What is... Okay, I'm gonna have to find another way home, as I ain't sitting in that. I just do not have the attention span for it. Or if I can cut up to 22 and get around this nonsense. Or if something's wrong with 22 and that's why this nonsense is happening. So the official word is out. The moratorium on in-store play for Paper Magic ends, I'll say it's May 28th, something like that. It's the end of this month. I'm excited, but at the same time, I don't know. Pennsylvania's vaccination rate is not fantastic. No, it seems like we finally have plentiful vaccines. It's weird. When the feds were okay, we're moving off of the 1A list. I'm technically on the 1A list. So, anybody who wants a vaccine can get one. As somebody who was on the high priority list due to risk factors, I still couldn't find an appointment to get a goddamn vaccine in the Tri-County area here. And then all of a sudden it was easy to find a vaccine. It's weird. But my 2 weeks is up tomorrow. I'm gonna hang out with Epidemic this weekend, and I'm so goddamn excited. I miss my friend. When you only got one, you keenly notice when they're not around. Anyway, I guess there's nobody else here to laugh, so I don't know why I'm pausing. So, yeah, that'll be exciting. I don't know what the store, the guild is doing with this. I don't know if they're going to go back to running events right away or if they're going to hold off. Because, nobody wants to be the epicenter of a new breakout. And we do have some immune-compromised players who have hopefully been vaccinated. Because we also have some... Yeah, we've had people show up actively ill to F&M. I'm like, why? Why would you do this? Like, I get people who, have to go to work sick. Because, they don't have an option. It's go to work sick or not be able to swing rent this month. As much as I hate it when it, ends up causing a problem, I understand why people send their kids to school sick. And it's the same thing. It's what our system promotes. I can remember I was pregnant with Bird. I was temping at an insurance company as a proofreader, and I had this horrible upper respiratory infection. I was really sick. I was still going to work, and my coworkers were like, "You need to go home. You're sick." And I'm like, "Can't." And they're like, "You're going to make other people sick." And I'm like, "Look, unless you're going to pay me for my wages for the day if I go home, you're not supposed to be in my fucking cubicle anyway. Get out." The data entry clerks weren't supposed to come in the QA area, and they did anyway. So, I don't know, in some ways, it just encouraged people to stay the fuck away from me, which I was down with that. But, yeah, this whole, oh, you shouldn't be here, go home, you're sick. There are a lot of people in this country that are the working poor, and their companies don't offer something so basic as paid sick time. So, they're paycheck to paycheck, or worse, not quite making it between. So losing the day of pay, is not a thing they can do. It's not what I would call selfish to, want to survive. But if you show up to F&M sick, you're kind of an asshole. I'm sorry, but you are. It's F&M. Calm down. Go home. I'm gonna pause y'all real quick. So yeah, I don't know what we're doing there. I will probably wait. If he does go back to having them right away, I'll probably wait until at least the end of the school year. Sage is old enough to get vaccine with the new release that kids 12 plus can get it. We're just gotta find somewhere to get it for her. God, I hope I don't have to take her to the same place I went. I hope I can take her in the doctor's office, because the poor kid, literally has a phobia of needles. I know it's cute to be like, oh, yeah, I have this phobia. Oh, I have a phobia of clowns. Clowns are, creepy and whatever. I wouldn't say I'm afraid of them, wary of them. I don't want them near me. But, no, poor kid, seriously, just has a super rough time with shots. And, yeah, you just gotta work with that. Though, I told husband I would take her because he has had to take both Bird and Girly McToddlerface for COVID tests. Holy shit. I wasn't there, but I can imagine giving a toddler a COVID test. Because, yeah, they don't have any other kind of test. It's the swab up the nostril is just not fun in any way, shape, or form. So I took Sage's flu shot at the beginning of flu season last year, and I'll take this one, and that'll make us even. But so once Paper Magic comes back, once the store starts holding it again, and I start going back, there will probably be more Magic content. One of the episodes that got ditched was a what the fuck WotC episode, and I just don't want to do them anymore. I don't know what's going on with OP. Don't come here looking for any kind of guidance with that. I hope to see the SCG tour come back. Still trying to sell the idea of SCG Hershey. I mean, come on. We got an amusement park. You got Chocolate World. You got the Penn National Casino. It's okay. It's a little bit of a drive from actual Hershey proper. It's like a 20-minute drive. So okay, all right. And our public transportation kind of sucks. So you would have to, have a vehicle. But we got a casino, and it's got horses. It has a racetrack. Yeah, come on. But I hope to see the SCG tour come back. As far as whatever is going on with GPs or Command Fest or whatever the hell we're calling them now, and what's going to be there, I have little care. I've never really cared a whole lot about that tournament series. Mostly because, the closest they ever come to where I am is a 3-hour drive, and 2 hours is about my max for going down and back the same day. I guess I could probably do DC in one day. The last time I did it, the reason I didn't do it in one day was because I was pregnant with Girly McToddlerface, so I had to watch my caffeine intake, had to get good sleep, had to take care of the proposed child gestating, so things I usually do to make it through, getting up at the ass crack of dawn to meet up with everybody that's carpooling and driving down to Baltimore or Valley Forge. Was not something I could do that. So, yeah, I could probably do DC in a day. But, in any case, yeah, that's the only stop that comes close enough for me to entertain going to. And it doesn't happen every season. I don't want to sound like I'm bitching about it because Lord knows, the Aussies, Australian, I mean, they have, 2 GPs a year there? Maybe? I mean, they, did have a good amount in Europe, but, I'm not good with geography or spatial relations at all. So, I understand you can move pretty freely between the countries in Europe. So, I don't know, maybe you could take a train or whatever, but yeah, we have a lot of events here in the U.S. I mean, I think it's because Wizards is a U.S.-based company, so this is where it really took off first, and so yeah, I don't want to sound like I'm, going on my first world jag about, events just aren't close enough to me. They're not, right here. Oh, that's the way it is for most people playing, so but yeah, being that the SCG tour is on the East Coast, and I mean, I just like their brand better, honestly. Their commentary team is fantastic. I'm gonna pause y'all again. Yeah, I like their style of commentary better. I've gone over all this before. I'm not saying that the commentary team from, like, the GP side is bad. Yeah, just follow the lines, asshole. But the style in which they do commentary just doesn't work for me. Because they're more about, having a, good time, joking about things. The game going on that they're covering is kind of secondary to the entertainment, which is totally fine. Again, not saying that makes it bad. But that's the style they seem to be going for, is that high entertainment value. And if you care about what's going on in the game, you can be watching the screen. I mean, most of the time, I was listening to coverage while working, and even if I wanted to look at the screen to see what was going on, I was on my phone screen, so. Whereas the SCG commentary team really seems to stay pretty well focused on the match that they're covering. And yeah, like, there's, filling dead air when it's like, okay, our opponents have each taken 3 mulligans, and, we're just gonna kind of wait until they actually start the game and inform you of all those things, rather than, alright, we're gonna awkwardly sit here and watch them shuffle. But I always felt that they were more about covering what was happening in the game, and all of the, banter and teasing between commentary members and everything was secondary to the game that they were covering. And that just works better for me. So, consequently, I, consume a lot more coverage of the SCG Tour, and therefore, care about the players on the SCG Tour a lot more. I recognize the names, and I recognize the playstyles and the decks. So, I'd like to see the SCG Corps come back. As far as the official WotC branded events, I didn't really pay much attention to them before. Now, I'm not saying that, I'm glad they're gone. No. I mean, that's something that didn't really impact me, because I didn't really go to those events. I didn't really watch coverage of those events. But, I mean, it's not like it negatively impacted me in taking joy in somebody else losing something that was important to them just because you don't care about it. It's just shitty. You've seen a lot of the casuals are ruining the fucking game versus fucking pro players are ruining the fucking game. Since whatever came out in that announcement, I didn't read it. Again, if you want to know about that shit, go. MTG Rants did an excellent episode where they had a guest star, or a guest of some sort. Todd Anderson on, and I mean, they went off about it. They talked about it. You can go listen to them. They're much more coherent than I am, so. But yeah, since that announcement came out, whatever the hell it is, I've seen a lot of that. And, like, no. The only people possibly ruining the game are, fucking creators of the game, WotC. Casuals don't take anything away from pro players. High competitive play does impact casual players who just want to sit around their kitchen table and do silly shit, but, by driving prices of cards up. But my answer to that is, if you're just sitting around your kitchen table doing silly shit, just use fucking proxies. Like, there's no rules there. Shit's the Wild West. Proxy everything you can, whatever. So, you know, like, I don't know. I will never understand the want to police somebody else's behavior that doesn't in any way affect you so badly. I don't get it. That's why I don't get, you know, people who are against non-heterosexual marriage. That's why I don't get why people are so weird about, you know, trans and non-binary rights. Like, I mean, I'm cis. I don't gain anything personally by trans and non-binary, gender fluid folks getting their rights, but I don't lose anything either, so, like, I don't understand why other cis people would have a problem. It just kind of blows my mind. I mean, okay, say I don't understand, like, I don't get it. I don't get that mentality, but I guess I have come to understand that their whole reason is, but if you have the same rights as me, that makes us equals, and I don't like that. Like, what? What's wrong with you? But yeah. I'm not happy to see something taken away. I'm just not affected by it, and therefore, like, not terribly moved by it. So, yeah. But, I mean, if F&M comes back, I'm gonna, you know, go back and play and see people that I haven't seen in over a year. Because I kind of like a lot of them people. But in the interim, I still haven't really been playing much Arena. I did do a couple Strixhaven drafts. But the gem machine did not work at all. Like, I'm pretty bad at this draft format. I did okay with black-white. Silver quill, silver shill, I don't know. You know, I was like 4 or 5 wins before getting knocked out of the ladder. I never 7-0 drafted. It's not a thing I do. You want that, go watch Tanner Grace. He does it sometimes. And then I drafted like 2 Witherbloom, I think it is, the Golgari house decks, and yeah, I just got smushed. Like, one of them was 0-3, knocked out of the ladder. I'm like, the deck looked solid. Though, you know, I see much better players than me posting their deck that looks completely reasonable, and they're like, this should be a fine deck, and I went like 3-3. Like, what the hell? And it makes me feel a little bit better. Like, yeah, Shuffler's broken, or Pairing's broken, or something. This isn't that I just completely screwed the pooch with this. But in my case, it's probably actually that deck wasn't as good as it looked. I'm pretty mediocre at, like, every game I play. And I'm okay with that. I think it's okay to be okay with that. I think it's okay to want better and, you know, want to play at those top levels and everything. It's all okay. It's where your joy in the game is, where your joy in life is. Sage and I have been playing a lot of Phasmophobia, so probably going to be more episodes about that. In fact, I do want to hop into covering our scariest goddamn ghost. So, we're in Tanglewood, okay? Smallest map in the game. Easiest map. We sometimes play it on professional, like when we want to feel all hardcore and shit. We're not at this point. We were playing on amateur. That's what we mostly play on. So, first 3 pieces of equipment I always take are flashlight, UV light, and EMF reader. Sage always goes flashlight, EMF reader, photo cam. And we go through and clear the house. Now, sometimes the ghost can take a minute or two to become active. So we found the best strategy is starting towards like the extremities of the house and working our way back towards the front door. Because, you know, we're playing on amateur, so we got 5 minutes. And this gives the ghost time to, like, do things that will cause an EMF reading. So I start in the garage, she starts in the basement. I clear everything from the garage to the basement door. Once she's done in the basement, she goes to the owner's suite. Usually by that point, I've made it to the living room. And then from the owner's suite, she goes to the front bedroom. I go to the nursery, and whoever's, you know, done with all that first, if we still haven't found activity, clears the bathroom up towards the front of the house. So we clear the whole house. We get nothing. No board. I think we found the bone. But no activity. So sorry, hey, give us a sign, and then we switch paths. Because, look, it's an indie game with a solitary developer. There are some glitches, and one of them is the EMF reader sometimes does not make sound for the person carrying it. The other person, if they're close enough within the location, will hear it. I mean, there have been many times where Sage is like, yo, your EMF reader's going off, and I'm like, no, it's not, and I glance down to the corner of the screen where the lights are, and I'm like, oh no, yeah, it is. Weird. So, when we don't get any activity on the first run through, we switch paths and make another run through. So I go down in the basement and bam, EMF 3. Okay, basement. Which could be that her EMF didn't register for her, or it could be that there was no activity when she was in there initially. Because again, sometimes they take a little bit to get going. So she comes, sees, you know, verifies EMF reading, cool, drop EMF reader. She goes out to get her next load of equipment. I go with the UV flashlight, check both sides of the basement door, check the light switch, even though, you know, Ghost hasn't toggled the lights that we know of. She comes back, does spirit box, and brings a crucifix. Gets nothing on the spirit box while I'm there, so I go out, grab tripod and night vision recording camera and spirit book. She keeps trying spirit box while I'm out, you know, I'm going to get more equipment. She leaves as I'm coming in. I set up my camera. I go place my book where I can see it from the camera. And we get charging apparition. Well, I get charging apparition. It's just me in there at that point. So the ghost can either appear where it stays in one place and kind of jerks around, or you can get the charging apparition. Then you can get either one of those, either in the full ghost model, where you can see the detail, or just the shadow person, where it's basically just the shadow. Charging apparition will charge like in a straight line at a player, wherever that player was standing when it appeared. So I try to skirt around it to grab the photo cam she dropped to get the picture, and am unsuccessful. We intersect paths and it despawns. Okay, cool. So she comes back down with second crucifix and like thermo, whatever. I go up, I grab 2 more pieces of equipment. I don't know what they are. I can't remember. Because I never got to use them. So she's still down there. She's trying Spirit Box again. I get to the bottom of the basement stairs, and it appears again and charges at me. And I'm yelling at her, grab the camera, take a picture. It continues past me up the basement stairs. I glance over to her, like, why aren't you grabbing the camera? And she's staring, like, death glare at me across the table. That's when I realized my flashlight's blinking. This asshole's hunting us. So, okay, going up the stairs at this point is pretty much certain death. But there's no good hiding spaces in the Tanglewood basement. It's like the only house basement that doesn't have lockers. She goes full rabbit brain and just crouches behind the rocking chair in the landing. I go back to the, back shelves, crouch down, point my light at the floor. We don't know if they can see light or not. It just feels like if you're trying to not be seen, you should point your flashlight at the floor. And we sit and we hope. So, used to be you had 8 seconds at the start of a hunt that the ghost couldn't kill you. Now it's 5, but the ghost doesn't move at the start of a hunt. It appears, stays in one place, the lights start flashing and all that jazz happens. But it doesn't move until the 5 seconds are up. Once it's moving, it can kill you. So, it must have passed right by me during the 8 seconds. And, goes up the stairs. So we sit down there, try not to piss our pants for, like, the longest 22 seconds of our lives, waiting for this hunt to end, or for one of us to die. We hear doors going upstairs and everything. Lights stop blinking. We don't even exchange words. We don't exchange a look. We just both get up and bolt. Like, get out of our bad hiding spot and book it to the front door. We don't talk again until we're both clear of the house. So, the ghost AI can hear players through their mic, and because we play across the table from each other, our mics can pick each other up. So, we're both cognizant of both of us get out of the house. We're like, what the fuck was that? Get out to the truck. Our sanity average is 78%. She's like, oh, must be a demon. And I'm like, no. Because that hunt had to start when we were above 80. Like, because being in a hunt drains your sanity. We both saw the ghost. That drains your sanity. I'm like, no, there's no way we were below 80 when that hunt started. So, I think this is the super rare ability of the Banshee. So far, we've gotten no evidence. We have some blips on the activity board that might be EMF 5. So Banshee is EMF 5, fingerprints, and freezing. Demon is Spirit Box, ghostwriting, freezing. So at this point, all we know is that it must be freezing in the basement. So we're arguing about this. She saw where it spawned, and it spawned like right beside the crucifix. Banshees are supposed to be extra afraid of crucifixes. Instead of normal 3 meter range, they work for 5 to 6 meters. It's not, there's some debate about that extra meter, but so she's like, yeah, there's no way Banshee could have hunted that close to a crucifix. I'm like, I'm telling you, this has got to be the super rare ability of the Banshee. And she's like, that's unconfirmed. Well, a week earlier, watching InSim stream, he got hit with the super rare ability of the Banshee. So I know that that's a thing. So we debate it. Now, looking back, we could have taken the second UV light and gone and looked for fingerprints in the first floor of the house. Where it went when it hunted. Because they leave fingerprints during hunts, and we did hear doors. We didn't think about it at the time, though. And as long as you're not in the basement when the hunt starts, Tanglewood is a very small house with actually a good amount of hiding spots. So if you register that the hunt has started right away, you're pretty good to be able to get to a hiding spot. So we watched the book on the camera for a bit, and it, like, the ghost pushes it around a little bit but doesn't write. And I'm like, I'm telling you, it's a banshee. And I'm like, and I must be its chosen prey, because it charged at me, you know, when I was alone in the basement, and then started the hunt, like, as soon as I got into the ghost room. So, you know, it has to be a banshee. She finally relents, and it was like, fine, we'll do banshee. I'm like, you didn't get spirit box, we're not getting writing. We might have EMF 5 on the activity board. That's become harder to tell. And when I checked for fingerprints initially, we had no indication that it had touched anything. And it did flicker the lights a few times while we were watching the camera, and I was like, you can go down and look for fingerprints on the light switch, because, again, not thinking that we could have checked the doors. And she's like, I ain't going back in the basement. Like, I ain't going back in the basement either. So, yeah, it was a banshee. Cheating ass banshee. Scariest hunt ever, because it had to have started, like, as soon as our 5 minutes were up. As neither of us was prepared for a hunt to start then, because, you know, every time we go grab equipment from the truck, we glance at the sanity and we're like, okay, we're still good, we're still good. So on the plus side, it seems like with the super rare banshee ability, the ghost is blind and, you know, somewhat deaf, because during a normal hunt, the banshee should have remembered walking past me and double back to kill me. But it never did that. And we did stay quiet during the hunt, past that initial me telling her to get the ghost photo. And we know for certain that no crucifix was used, because we had the prevent a hunt with a crucifix objective and didn't get that pop. So, you know, if we had found a board in the initial run through, it would have been a lot easier, because we could have done the thing where we asked the board a question from just inside the doorway. So if a hunt starts, you should get pushed out. But with the ghost room being the basement, even if you don't, you have plenty of time to get to, you know, one of the two frontmost closets to hide in. And of course, with Demon, on successful questions, you don't take a sanity hit. But yeah, cheating ass banshee, use the super rare ability, seem to completely ignore crucifix, but also seem to not have the typical ghost AI to kind of balance that. And now I'm afraid of the Tanglewood basement. Whenever we have a ghost in the basement of Tanglewood, I'm like, oh god, we're gonna die now. So yeah, that was our super scary ghost. There are neat things coming up in the unstable beta release on Phasmo that I will probably talk about in the second episode I'm going to try to do this week. But I'm home and I got to get Bird going for school and I got to get logged in for work. So, as always, if you made it this far with me, thank you very much for listening, and hopefully I'll talk to you all again this week and, like, become more consistent again. We'll have to see how that goes, though.